My wife turned to me and said, "This Friday, I want to try something different." Nash Caldwell had always prided himself on knowing Juniper better than anyone else. 5 years of marriage filled with love, pain, laughter, and shared goals, and he had no doubt that they were meant for each other. He still remembered the day he proposed to her, her glowing face, the sparkle in her eyes when she said yes. He believed that they had built a life together based on trust. Sitting at the kitchen table that evening, with the TV humming in the background, Juniper uttered words that somehow shattered his confidence in a surprisingly casual manner. She said she was planning to have dinner with a colleague on Friday, and that was it. No further explanation, no context. Nash blinked, half hoping for an explanation that never came. What does she care? She simply took another piece of bread, spread butter on it with her usual deftness, as if her words had broken no bones. He opened his mouth, trying to hear something wrong or that she was joking. But when she continued to stare at her plate, avoiding his gaze, a chill ran through his body. "What?" he asked, trying to sound normal, too normal, not like hell was breaking loose inside him. Juniper finally looked at him. For the first time, Nash saw something rehearsed in her expression, as if she had anticipated this moment, planned what he was about to say. "It's just dinner. It doesn't mean anything." She dismissed it so easily. "I love you. It doesn't change us as a couple." He stared at her, trying to see if she doubted her words, but she was so calm, almost serene, as if she truly believed every word she said. His fork lay untouched. His appetite was gone. But he didn't let her see the change in him. She was probably counting on anger, confrontation, a dramatic rejection, but Nash wasn't that easy to read. At least he was a master of self-control when he needed to be. He took a deep breath, exhaled just as slowly, and finally delivered his verdict. If this was a test or an unspoken challenge, he would not lose. He smiled faintly and picked up his glass of water. "I see," he said quietly. Juniper froze slightly, barely perceptibly, but he heard it. That single reaction said it all. She wasn't asking for permission. She wanted to impress him. The silence stretched into a long, thin pain. Juniper stirred her food, her smile betraying nothing of what was going on inside. Calm and calculating, Nash watched her closely. "Well," he said, trying to keep his voice even, "maybe I should go on a date with someone too, just for experience." For the first time, she lost her composure. A look of concern flashed across her face. Her hand trembled slightly as she picked up her fork again. She blinked, not knowing what to do. "Have you been seeing someone?" she asked, pretending to be indifferent. He shrugged casually. "There's a girl at the gym I talk to sometimes. It would be interesting to go out with her." The color drained from her face. The confidence with which she had spoken quickly melted away. Juniper suddenly became uncertain. She didn't touch her food. Nash leaned back in his chair, feeling completely comfortable. A smug satisfaction blossomed inside him. Seeing her squirm from feeling the same humiliation she had so easily inflicted on him, he knew everything he needed to know. "Oh," she said after a moment, clearly flustered. "I didn't know you. I know." She pushed her plate away, but her leg was shaking under the table, an old, nervous tic. "Is that a problem?" he asked smoothly. Juniper laughed briefly, shaking her head too quickly. "No, of course not. I just didn't expect it from you." He raised an eyebrow. Funny. I didn't expect that from you either. Her laughter was insincere, unnatural. His response had achieved its goal, and her feigned composure was shattered. So who was that woman at the gym? She asked, curiosity evident in her voice. Nash smiled to himself. He had been waiting for her to ask that. Most importantly, he knew what the question was really about. Juniper was no longer pretending that this was about freedom or experimentation. Now it was personal. I don't believe it matters, he replied, wiping his mouth with a napkin. If it doesn't matter, why get specific? She laughed again, more sharply this time. Are you really serious? Are you really going to do this? And you're the one who brought it up, aren't you? She parted her lips but couldn't say a word. For the first time all evening, Juniper didn't know what to say. The atmosphere in the room had changed. The balance of power had shifted. This wasn't playing with fire anymore. This was real. Nash didn't say another word, finished his water, put the glass on the table, and stood up. Good night, Juniper. She sat in silence with an inscrutable expression on her face. At that moment, Nash said he knew that everything had changed. Outwardly, life continued as usual in the days that followed. Nash went to work and came home at the usual time. He washed the dishes, folded the laundry, and didn't forget to buy milk. But a silence began to grow between them, thick, suffocating, and impossible to ignore. Juniper reminded herself that it wouldn't last long, that it was just Nash's way of communicating. But after a while, it became clear that he wasn't responding. He had adapted. They grew apart, and the distance between them increased. And for the first time, Juniper wondered if she had underestimated the man she knew better than anyone else in the world. At first, a slight uneasiness crept into the quiet Wednesday morning. She was already drinking her coffee when she noticed him adjusting his collar in the hallway mirror. He wasn't doing anything unusual, but the way he smoothed his hair, the second glance he cast at his reflection, the faint smile he sent to his phone when he looked at it, it all struck her. A strange, cold, unfamiliar tightness in her chest. For the first time, she was afraid of losing him. She dismissed the thought, tried to ignore it, but the image of him in the mirror returned and haunted her all day. Who had texted him? Was there someone else? That evening, sitting next to him on the sofa while the TV flickered at them, she said something, pretending it was nothing. You seem happier lately. He didn't look at her, but continued to stare at the screen, a faint smile playing on his lips. Really? She crossed her legs and replied in a light tone. Yes, it's as if you've been very busy. This time he looked at her intently, as if he believed her words. Then he replied coldly, Yes. I guess I'm just managing my time more efficiently. She felt a chill. In the days that followed, she began to watch him more closely. The messages on his phone became more frequent. He started going out for his morning run earlier. One evening, he returned to their home in Long Beach, humming a song she didn't recognize, and without saying a word, went to take a shower. On Friday morning, as they were having breakfast, he said it casually, as if it were nothing. I'm leaving tonight. Her hand froze in midair, her coffee cup halfway between the table and her lips. Oh. She tried her best to keep her voice steady. With whom? He didn't flinch. The woman from the gym. It was like a punch in the chest. Her brain frantically searched for a response, a distraction, anything to regain control of the conversation. But there was nothing to say. He had simply followed her own suggestion, and now she didn't know if she wanted to continue this game. When he appeared at the door, completely unflustered, buttoning a shirt she barely remembered, when she smelled his cologne and heard him scratch his left armpit, as he always did when he was nervous, she froze, and her heart ached with loneliness. He didn't ask about her plans or show any interest in the fake date she had arranged with a colleague. And then she realized he never wanted it to be real. It was a test, a ploy to hurt him, to make him fight for her. But instead, she exposed herself. She couldn't bring herself to leave the house. She ignored all messages from her colleague. Instead, she paced around the living room, checking her phone, praying that he would text her, praying that he would come back and say it was all a joke. But the hours passed. He didn't text, and he didn't come back early. The door didn't open until after 3. He came back calm, untouched, as if the night had changed nothing. She just sat on the couch, frozen, her eyes wide, speaking in a quiet voice. "How was it?" He took off his jacket, threw it on the back of a chair, and looked at her with unyielding immobility. It was good. Those 3 words pierced her. She almost panicked, but didn't know how to express what she wanted to ask most. She wanted to hear that it didn't mean anything, that it was a mistake. But he didn't give her any answers. He showed no remorse. And that was perhaps the most painful thing of all. He turned away without answering and went into the bedroom, leaving her standing there in silence, her heart pounding with questions she couldn't ask. The next morning, she felt a heaviness she couldn't shake, a pressure that made it hard to breathe. When she walked in, he was already there, drinking coffee in the kitchen and looking at his phone, just like any other day. He didn't even look up. She cleared her throat. "You're back late." "Yeah," he replied without taking his eyes off the screen. His coldness pierced her, and she sat there looking at him, searching for something, regret, reluctance, anything. But Nash didn't seem to be pretending anymore. He was done, detached. "Nash," she whispered, almost uncertainly, "what are we doing?" Finally, he looked up. His gaze met hers, hard and impenetrable. "You tell me, was this your idea?" She swallowed hard, feeling a rush of guilt. "I didn't think you'd really do it." He let out a hollow, joyless laugh. "What did you think? That I'd beg you to change your mind?" She tried to say something, but he cut her off. "I was thinking about what this means, what it says about us that you asked me to do this, what it means for our marriage." Her heart began to race. "Nash, I made a mistake." He didn't blink. "Yes." A heavy, suffocating silence fell between them. She wanted to turn back time, erase everything from her memory, but something deep inside told her it was too late. He finished his coffee, stood up, rinsed his cup, and turned to her with one last, devastating truth. "You showed me who you really are." And he left the kitchen. She sat there in a daze, panic filling her like a tide. A couple of minutes later, when she entered the bedroom, the documents were already lying on the table, signed and final. She held her breath and struggled to keep from screaming. Nash was packing his things, his suitcase was open, and the zipper sounded like a knife in the silence. She leaned forward desperately. "Nash, please," she said, her voice trembling. She tried to smile to look casual, but the smile didn't come out under the pressure of fear. This has gone too far. I forgive you for taking her away. Actually, it doesn't matter. Let's just forget about it. Forget what I said so I can forget what you did. We can start over. He hesitated, clutching the handle of the suitcase. She saw no anger in his eyes, only resignation. I don't want you to forgive me, Juniper. You've taught me a lot over the last few days. I deserve better. With that, he picked up his suitcase, grabbed his keys, and left. The only response she got was the click of the lock, then silence.